One by one, they all raised their hands. Belle, another of my sister-in-law, stood. It appears as though a judge is grinning. It was only a light-hearted game, so she requested the query as if it were informal. Should Era not be invited to family gatherings? Hands went up to my mom-in-laws. Every hand of the father-in-law's cousins, spouses, and I sat there, save for one, Grandpa Joe's. My son, Luca, is frozen and clinging to me. He gazed around in confusion, and his small voice ended the quiet. "Mom, what are they doing?" I simply grinned without responding to this. I stood up despite the sting in my eyes. "Thank you for the meal," we responded. We left with our honor, but I didn't resist. The following week, they each got a letter from a legal practice, which was something that made them stop talking. Sundays used to mean something distinct prior to my husband's passing. They were giddy with laughter as Micah passed away. The sound of children running barefoot through the scent of garlic bread in the yard, Grandpa Joe playing old country music in the oven, music on his small speaker as Belle attempted to persuade him to decline. Following Micah's mishap, Sundays turned into the loudest quiet I've ever experienced. Everyone was friendly at first, and dinners were great. Belle came over to my house and brought casseroles from the store. It had the scent of her favorite lavender. Carol and Robert, my in-laws, demanded that I be near my family, yet, as the sympathy diminished, so did the texts and phone calls. I had never argued when the invitations vanished. I never made any demands of anyone. I didn't start any scenes. I just quit being helpful, and I came to understand that I was welcomed not as a member of the family, but as a reminder of their losses, or perhaps what they were unwilling to confront. Luca, but he was only 7 years old and never ceased asking when his father passed away. He was 10 years old. He carried Micah's dimples and smile, the same silent method of monitoring individuals. He once said, "Mom, why doesn't Grandma still call us?" I asked. "Perhaps they were just busy," he said. "They were unsure how to discuss Daddy," he said, but I saw the sorrow seep into his tiny chest. I missed them in a way that was beyond my control, and I chose to try again for him. So when Belle unexpectedly sent me a message, "Sunday would be the day for the family meal on Thursday. It's good to see you and Luca." I paused, read the message 5 times. It seemed to bait me, but when I informed Luca, his countenance brightened. Nothing else. We were 10 minutes ahead of schedule. The house was immaculate and not a toy. It looked like a feature in a magazine where Belle met us. We all grinned and gave each other embraces at the door. "Look fantastic," she remarked, stroking her cheek. She had a lavender scent that contrasted with mine. I managed Luca, who rushed inside to play. I went more slowly, taking everything in. Carol hardly gave me a glance when I entered. She was cutting lemons in the kitchen for her iced tea while acting as though she hadn't just stopped a discussion the moment I arrived. Robert nodded at me as he entered, his eyeballs already back on the seat in the den. Nobody expressed gratitude for the football game. I offered to help with dinner so they could visit us. The salad bowl was given to prep, and then swiftly avoided the conversation in the kitchen. Carol and Belle continued to chuckle at various things. Despite not being included, I still grinned. I had become proficient in that over time, grinning, in inappropriate places when it was required. When dinner arrived, I saw that Luca was already serving at the children's table. When it was my turn, he came before the others. I had to go around the dishes each time to get a plate. Minor details, yet they added up. Around me, conversations were buzzing about work, promotions, school updates, and vacation schedules. Nobody ever inquired about Luca's condition or how I was doing. It seemed like we were visitors at a gathering that we hadn't formally been invited to. The single moment of warmth occurred when Grandpa Joe moved more carefully, using a cane. Yet, he was as stable as ever. He took a seat next to me and went. By the words, "I'm glad you came," he said. Luca must understand that he still belongs, and even though they don't realize it yet. I took the lump in my throat. He always managed to get his way inside my throat, expressing just what I needed to hear when I needed it. He was giggling at Luca with his cousin Levi, his plate full of food, hopeful eyes. He didn't notice what I noticed. The air didn't feel the same. It changed when I entered a room. He was still a youngster, having faith in the goodness of the world. I didn't want to accept that from anybody, from him, so I grinned, kept silent, and I told myself that I could make it through. Only one meal, but what transpired next would rip through that quiet and reveal all that I had worked so hard to disregard. It took place after dessert. We were at the long dining table, plates still there, scratched with crumbs and half full, glasses. The children had fled to the basement. I briefly believed that I might have succeeded. Perhaps I had made it through the night. Belle tapped her glass as she got to her feet. Using a spoon, everyone looked at her. I believed she would make a statement, perhaps share some family news. I forced a smile and sat up taller. Then she added, "I believe we should speak regarding the conflict within this household, as if she were doing everyone a favor." She sighed, looked at her spouse for assistance, and searched for the right words, gathered around the table with practiced anxiety. I am aware that I am not alone in feeling this sense of unease, and I believe we must be truthful about it, she said. But from that point on, I was unable to comprehend what she meant. At first, nobody paid attention to me, but I felt it nevertheless, and my chest constricted. She went on, "I don't want to cause any trouble, but I believe it's reasonable to state that things have changed since Era returned." She spoke my name like I were the room's biggest problem, as if I weren't sitting there. "Not that you haven't experienced a loss." She turned to face me and added, "We all cherished Micah, but we've had to proceed as well, and I believe some of us feel that we're always using caution around some of us." I peered at Carol, who refused to look at me. Robert reclined in the arms of his chair, his arms folded. Some cousins were restless, feigning to reposition the silverware. Then Belle grinned, and I will always remember that moment. I assumed we could just vote no, so I smiled. Just a show of hands, no bad feelings. If Era is not welcomed in future gatherings for the sake of family harmony, for a moment I thought I had misheard her. It felt as though I had departed from my body. Then it happened. Carol raised her hand. Then Levi's mother, another Robert, and finally his dad, even those with whom I hadn't spoken, even those who never seemed to care. Every hand went up, except Grandpa Joe's. I was having trouble breathing. I felt the blood rushing out of my ears and face. The room was buzzing, and I then sensed a pull on my sleeve. Luca had returned from the basement, most likely to request a second slice of cake. Rather, he had entered. He glanced about in confusion. Then he murmured quietly, "Mom, why are they acting this way?" "That hurt me a lot," I whispered, but I couldn't say it in front of him. I just made my lips grin. Trembling, I extended my hand, grasped his, and said, "Thank you for dinner," as I got up. I spoke quietly to the table, but confidently. "We should be going." Nobody prevented me. Not a single person said a word. As we left, Grandpa Joe got up from his seat and put a gentle hand on my shoulder. "You're not worthy of this," he said. I gave a single nod and continued to walk, holding Luca's hand firmly throughout the journey to the car. He asked no more questions about the car ride, simply putting his head on my arm while I fastened his seatbelt and drove quietly home. The type of quiet that permeates your bones. I listened to my son's breathing for hours as I knew Belle had arranged that moment, which she had planned. It was practiced and developed over several months. Perhaps she didn't want me to leave for peace. She wanted this vote. She wanted me removed. It was her small show of authority, and I gave it to her. But what she was unaware of, what none of them were aware of, was that I would not remain silent. I didn't yell or plead. But I had finished portraying the role of the distraught widow. I took the next step. The house was silent that evening, aside from the gentle hum of the refrigerator and the cadence of Luca's breathing beside me. He had fallen asleep, one hand tucked up to my side, still holding onto my shirt sleeve. I laid there, like he was scared I might vanish. There, staring with wide-open eyes in the dark, my thoughts repeated at the ceiling. Belle's voice echoed in every way, asking Luca, "Why are they doing this?" I had swallowed my pride for years. For peace's sake, I would allow them to gradually push me away, persuaded that the honorable thing was to remain silent. Quietness was preferable to being the issue. But that vote wasn't merely callous. It was strategic in nature, meant to make me look foolish in front of everyone. It was intended to demonstrate to Luca that his mother didn't fit in with her, former family, that they were held together without her, and I couldn't permit that.